Billy Luna.
We got Snoop Dogg, a member of the Rolling 20s Crips, running for his life to a sheriff's substation. He's happy they're there because they saved him. And then now Snoop Dogg is saying that, according to this sheriff's report, he told the sheriff that Suge Knight killed Tupac. So we have a street guy, tough guy, a so-called gangster, calls himself a gangster. Now he's a billionaire, and his name is on this copyright strike. You are a young brother from Philadelphia with a small channel. Is Jay-Z a rat because of this?
Is Jay-Z a rat? You know, Jay-Z back in the day, he said you can't knock the hustle. So why would you interfere with someone else's hustle?
Please subscribe to the Billy Luna channel and like the video. Thank you.
Today, I'm about to bring on a special guest, Members Only, one of the preeminent content creators in the crime genre. Me and this brilliant young brother, who is straight out of Philadelphia, are going to have a fascinating discussion about informants, aka rats, in the world of rap music. We're going to get into some shocking stuff that you may not know about Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, and others. In this interview, we will reference Skinny Joey Merlino several times, as the skinny one is the current king of exposing lying rats on his entertaining channels and his Patreon. Links to those are in the description. I just had an amazing phone conversation with Skinny Joey Merlino and his team. We're going to be working together on some major projects in the upcoming months. So stay tuned. Joe is charismatic and funny as fuck, and Skinny and Snuff are a classic duo. I also want to shout out Mike, Joey's business partner, and of course, the king of North Jersey, Tommy Stiggs. Go subscribe to that brother's channel as well. Stay tuned, because as the main man, Francis Albert Sinatra, says, the best is yet to come.
Billy Luna.
I'm stoked to have a brilliant creator as my guest today, the mastermind behind the YouTube channel Members Only, and a good friend. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, man. I love your channel.
Oh, man, I feel the same way. I mean, you know, your stuff is just absolutely awesome, bro. The link to the Members Only YouTube channel and all his social media links are in the description. Make sure you subscribe and join his channel and all of his socials. The crime content that this guy creates is simply the best in the genre. The research, the editing, the voiceover, the entire production, superb.
I appreciate that a lot.
Today, we're going to talk about rats in the rap world. We're going to go over a lot of big names. Obviously, Tekashi 6ix9ine, Gunna of YSL, Meek Mill, Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, and more.
Yeah, we're going to talk about rats in general, because there's a lot of rats going on, and you know, the YouTube world, the music industry, and we're going to share a couple of points.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, it's rat nation out there. You know, it's like, it's an infestation, and we'll get into a lot of the theoretical aspects, and you know, all those big names, because we got some, we mentioned some pretty big names so far. You know, Tekashi 6ix9ine, Gunna, Meek Mill, Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, and I know that some of the listeners, or viewers rather, are probably thinking that some of these rap stars that we mentioned are not informants or AKA rats. Well, if that's what you think, you will all be very surprised by the end of this video. And make sure that you stay tuned until the end of this video, because we're going to explain how one of the biggest gangster rappers in history has been accused of being a rat. And we're going to show you the paperwork, and then we're going to let you decide. So make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video. It will be worth it.
And let us know in the comments. Get involved. Don't be strangers. So hit that like button, and you know, just show love in the comments, and you know, just let us know, because you know, y'all part of the video too. So hit the comments up.
Exactly. We want to know what you all think for sure about every aspect of this. So, you know, definitely let us know. So, Mar, what do you, I think maybe let's start off kind of a little theoretical. Like, what is a rat?
So A rat is a guy that's in the streets. So he starts off a guy that's in the streets. He's doing this thing. He's getting his money. He's benefiting off of the streets. No matter if he's a part of a mafia organization, or if he's just a part of just a street gang. So he gets in trouble, and then he tries to make a deal with law enforcement to get himself off the hook, which is unfair. And then you have a civilian that's not a rat. He's a civilian is a guy that gets up every day, go to his 9 to 5, and if anything happens to him, he has the ability to call law enforcement. He has to call the cops because that's their job. You know, they're here to protect. They're here to serve and protect anyone, really. So if you're a gangster, the cops here to serve you, to protect you. And if you're a 9 to 5, or if you're a civilian, the law enforcement is here to protect and serve you also. So you have guys that's on the street that benefits off the street, as in getting the money, the lifestyle. And then when they get caught up in a jam, they want to get out of jail free pass. Really, it's basically just a get out of jail free pass. So they'll sell out the person that didn't get caught, which is unfair. It's like, hey, I've got away with it. You've got caught. Do your time. Just because I got away, that don't mean you can sell me out. So that's the big thing on rats. That's why these guys on the internet, mob tube, and this genre really hate rats.
Right. Now, see, the thing is, though, so you're saying, because there's so many different, I feel like it's a matter of degree, you know what I mean? And that there's different levels of ratting. Now, you talk to a guy named like Skinny Joey Merlino, and there is no level of ratting. He says, like, you're not half pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. You talk or you don't talk. And I even think, like, he doesn't really want to mess with anybody who talks to the authorities, even a straight. So, but what you're kind of implying with what you just said is that, if a straight person, in the straight world has a problem and then deals with the police, you kind of said they're not a rat, right?
Yeah. So if I'm a 9 to 5 right now, and if someone breaks in my house, should I go on the street and do my investigation myself and waste my time and ask around like, oh, who is this person? Who you think did it? And then take care of it myself? Mm-hmm. Or should I call law enforcement and then let them deal with it and continue on with my life? You get what I'm saying? It's just like if I get in a car accident, like say if I'm driving and then you rear end me, and then so we pull over, who we're gonna call? We're gonna call the cops, or I'm gonna deal with it myself. Like, hey, listen, what's your phone number? You're gonna pay for my damages, or get it on file. Call law enforcement, and try to get this person insurance company and let them deal with it.
The way that YouTube and the world was, previous to the emergence of Skinny Joey Merlino would be like, there's all these people who say they're like Michael Franzese. He says, I'm not a rat. Yet, we see this picture right here, I'll show you, of Michael holding up his hand testifying, but Michael says he's not a rat. And then, Joey Merlino has come out and said, yeah, of course, Michael Franzese is a rat. And then Joey has further gone on to say John Gotti Jr. is a rat. But there's many people in the mob tube that don't consider them rats. But then Joey, I feel, has come along and redefined what a rat is. And it's a very absolute kind of hardcore interpretation of it.
Hell yeah. I mean, Joey, he's 100%. He knows what he's talking about. Yeah, when it comes to ratting, he's not gonna put that rat label on someone that's not a rat. That's a big no-no in the streets. So you really can't call someone a rat unless you have the proof.
If somebody talks to the police, if somebody sits down with the FBI and does a 302, if somebody testifies in court, I know he would paint it with the same brush, but is there a degree, or is it if you're a rat, you're a rat?
Yeah, for him, he don't. And one thing I don't understand about Joey is he's trying to do the clean route with this podcast stuff, but he does mention that he don't want to do business with guys that even sit down with rats, which could mess his growth up. It can interfere with his growth, because at the end of the day, I don't know if you heard this, but he don't mess with Conor McGregor, because Conor McGregor took a picture with Michael Francis.
Right.
So that kind of limits his growth. It limits his growth, because if he's looking for like many guests and just to get on his podcast, and if he's looking to network, because we're in a business where we're not in the streets, you're going to have to run across guys that do business with rats or guys that used to be rats. As far as you got Conor McGregor, he sat down with Michael Francis. You got Andrew Tate. He sat down with Michael Francis. You have Mike Tyson. He sat down with Michael Francis. So these are guys that already eliminated that he can't, that he has to cross off his list that he wouldn't sit down with. And so it kind of limit his growth, which is bad for business. So if I'm like one of his producers, I'm kind of frustrated because it's like, well, we have to get these guests on the show. And, there's a lot of opportunity out in the world that we have to network. But if you don't want to sit down with these guys because they sat down with a rat, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Because all Michael Francis have to do, because you got to look at it. Michael Francis is ahead of Joe Merlino when it comes to this podcast and stuff. So all Michael Francis have to do is do business with all these celebrities. And that kind of limits Joey Merlino, so that could kind of knock Joe Merlino off, because it's like, I already got everyone that's important on my show. So you're refusing to sit down with them because because they sat down with me. So what are you going to do now? Because I already did business with all these guys. That's important. That means something in social media. So what are you going to do?
Well, I think Joey is absolute about it. And I think that, yes, for sure. Like, if Joey had come out, Michael Francis and Sammy the Bull invited him on their shows. And if he had done that, that would have benefited him and helped with the growth of his channel. But Joey doesn't give an F about that, because this cat has a bone deep hatred of rats. And once again, it's because he had spent a good portion of his life in jail. His dad, his pop, Chucky, was thrown under the jail. He died in prison, had to raise his grandchildren in prison. And so it's hard to, if you haven't done it, it's some can sympathize. If you haven't been through it yourself, you can't empathize. And I understand where he's coming from, because, the thing about Joey is he's in modern times, but he's following a code that's like 1,000 years old. So he's he's like a historical anachronism, because the code that he's following is out of time, and he is hardcore with it, and he's absolute. I think, though, that's a lot of his appeal, because people just in this world, I think the true currency in entertainment or whatever is to be unique and to be different. And I think that Joey is definitely different. Now, you say Michael Francis's channel is doing better than Joey. Michael Francis's channel has the most subscribers in the game, over 1 million. However, I'll tell you something right now. Joey is hotter than Michael, okay, in terms of just what I see from creators. Like, I know there's this a smaller creator who Michael had given a few interviews to, and I look at the numbers on that. They're not that good. But then I see other creators doing stuff such as myself with Joey, and the numbers are big. So the thing is that, as you know, things are relative. We've had discussions before. Subscribers don't mean everything. Who knows if those subscribers are real?
Right.
But
you have guys in the game that do manipulate the numbers. So we do have that. Sure. Yeah. And I do understand why Joey don't want to sit down with rats, because just like you said, he spent a lot of time in jail because of rats. His father spent time in jail because of rats. So, that's a big understanding when it comes to that. But you just have to ask yourself, okay, it's like, when does it stop? Like, when do you become free from it? Because it's like once you're a street dude, it's like you're a slave to it. Like, you're a slave to the rules. All right, you said Joey Merlino, he's hardcore when it comes to those rules. But one of the rules are you cannot be in media. You cannot come out with a podcast. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's 100% true, but you cannot write a book. You cannot do a podcast. You cannot, do a TV show or anything if he was involved in their life.
I mean, Joey is the alleged boss of the Philadelphia Mafia. That's been alleged in the media. And so what happens is invariably all these rats who are on YouTube reach out to Joey and, Michael Franzese, Sammy the Bull, and many others. And they want to be on his show. They want him to be on their show because they want to ride his coattails because he's experiencing a mercurial rise on social media, mostly YouTube and other social media channels. And so then what happens is Joey slaps him down. He said, to Michael Franzese, I don't entertain lying rats. Now, then the next step is they get butthurt and they come back and they're like, well, you're a rat because you're on social media and you're not allowed to be on social media.
Yeah, that's not being a rat. That's not being a rat.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. Like Dom Sakali, who's a rat, who, has now, I think the same kind of situation, the syndrome of him wanting to deal with Joey, but then Joey slaps him down. And then now he's kind of just talks a lot of mess on Joey. He says when you get sworn in, the oath of Cosa Nostra says that you're not allowed to talk to media, et cetera, et cetera. Now, first of all, the oath you take in Cosa Nostra varies widely. Okay, there's all kinds of different oaths. There's many, many different families. They do it in many different ways. I know I've heard a few of them, and I don't recall hearing. They give you some basic rules, but I don't even recall hearing you don't talk to the media. And if that is the case, Dom Sakali and all these other guys who accuse Joey of this, are you gonna accuse John Gotti of being a rat? Because
exactly.
I don't hear anybody accusing John Gotti of being a rat, and John Gotti spoke to the media all the time.
Exactly. But it's like when it comes to that rule, you cannot talk to the media about the life. Joey Merlino, he talks about sports. He talks about food. He's not talking about the mafia on his show. So he has to make some type of money. So it's like he's not doing anything wrong.
No. And I challenge that idea that it's against the rules. It's like, cause I don't necessarily think it is. And then, you think of a guy this is a weird example where you think about Joe Colombo back in the day, cause he did eventually get popped, and people didn't like it, but I don't know. But I just think of Gotti, cause Gotti is has been for so many years, the paradigm of a tough stand-up guy. Nobody challenges it. You hear a lot of rumblings about this and about that. Nobody challenges that. But it's I don't know. I look at it like that.
No one challenged Joey Merlino when he went on the Howard show, when he called in. I think it was the 90s. Joey Merlino called in on the Howard show, and they was talking about him being at the hockey game. No one talked about that because Joey Merlino was in his prime. He was in his prime and he had things going on. He had a lot of motion going on during that time.
No one challenges Joey until Joey slaps them down and rebuffs them. And then they behave like, a guy who is rebuffed by a woman, and then they get all butthurt and then they start talking mess. And before that, they're all complimentary. They love everything. They want to go on his show. But then they start nitpicking. I don't know. Yeah.
But we're talking about the 90s, all right, it's 2024 right now. So the mafia is not really strong as it used to be. But, in the 90s, it was stronger than what it is now. If there's a mafia, if there ever was a mafia. So we talk about the 90s. Of course, the 90s, the mob wasn't as strong as, the 80s or the 70s or the 60s. But they were stronger than the mafia now. So with Joey Merlino calling into the Howard show, he would have been challenged right there. No one challenged him.
Right.
No one challenged him during that time.
Right. Yeah, I think, there's been so many rumblings of New York's mad at Joey. I don't think any legitimate people have ever been mad at Joey. Short of an alleged time when New York installed an alleged boss at the head of the alleged Philadelphia Cosa Nostra family, allegedly depriving the second generation mafia princes of their birthright, and then they had to gun it out. Other than that, I don't really believe any legitimate people have really had a beef with Joey. The people that have a beef,
not giving anything up. Joe Bonanno wrote the book. He was giving up certain secrets of the mob. Joe Merlino was not giving anything up. He's talking about life.
Right.
A normal conversation he would have with a bus driver or anyone. He's just having a conversation about sports. We all talk about sports. We all love sports. He's giving out picks who he thinks is going to win his advice on what's going on in the sports world. That's what they're talking about. He's doing prison reform. He's trying to free dudes.
Right.
The innocent guys. He's trying to free innocent guys. But he's not doing anything wrong. He's doing a good deed.
Yeah, and I don't think that any like legit tough guys and real guys in these alleged organizations or those have any beef with Joey. The only people that have beef with Joey are rats.
Rats and haters.
Yeah, and haters. Exactly.
You never saw Michael Francis pass out turkeys? John Merlino went to the Richard Island Projects. That's a crime control project in the 90s and passed out turkeys to an African American community. That's what Joey Merlino did. You never heard Michael Francis doing that. You never heard Sammy the Bull doing none of that. He bought bikes, over 100 bikes to the community. You know, he does his thing. He gives back to the community. That's why, everyone loves him.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, Joey helps kids. Sammy Gravano killed a kid.
Exactly.
Yeah, big difference. But
there's a lot of people that got good stories about Merlino. You could say what you want, but you got a lot of people that have good things to say about him.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and just go to his city. Philly loves Joey, right?
Yes, hell yeah.
That's your city. That's my city. We know it. We've seen it firsthand.
Yeah, they call him Front Row Joe.
Front Row Joe in the house, his house.
I mean, yeah, you go to the Sixers game, you see him front row. His feet be touching the wood.
Right,
Front Row Joe. For
sure. So now, okay, so we're talking. We're having some theoretical conversations here about rats, and then we're like I said, we're going to get into a lot of these other things. We're gonna mention some big names in the rap world: Tekashi 6ix9ine, Gunna, Meek Mill, Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, more. But why don't we start with this? Why don't we start with the story that you are personally involved in? You did a video, and you got you made a video. It was very successful on YouTube, and you got a strike that was put on that video by one of the world's biggest rappers, who I will also note, you've also told me, is your favorite rapper. Can you briefly tell us this story, please?
So I did a story on OG Juan. His wife is Desiree Perez. She is the CEO of Rock Nation. Okay. Well, everyone knows OG Juan was in the streets. He was moving bricks. His wife ended up becoming an informant. She ended up giving up I forgot what cartel was it. Was it the Mexican cartel? It was some type of cartel that she gave up. But everyone knows it was OG Juan. She took the case. She became an informant. She set them up. She's free. She's the CEO of Rock Nation. So I did a video on OG Juan, bigging OG Juan up. Bigging him up to the fullest. But a part of his story is his wife telling. That's a part of the story. I just had to tell the truth.
Right.
Next thing you know, I get a copyright strike with the videos taken down, and it's saying that the removal.
One second. I just want to flesh this out a little bit more. Like, just so we'll just. I just want to say, okay. So Desiree Perez is the former and current. She's CEO of Jay-Z's company, Rock Nation.
Yes.
And she was married to this guy,
Juan Perez. And he was a major mover of bricks. And so she basically worked with the feds to bring down this cartel. And not only that, she wore a wire, right? Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is really big time, working with the feds, bringing people down, throwing people under jails, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now that's where that's the background. But then she is the CEO of Jay-Z's company. Okay, so you make this video that you just described about all this, and then you get a copyright strike. And I'm looking at this copy. Go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Let me continue with it.
Yeah. So I wake up, I have a copyright strike. So I'm looking into it. It's saying a removal request by Sean Carter. So I said, how is this possible? I have a small channel of, 20,000 subscribers. Why is this person so worried about me?
Now let's just tell people who don't know. Okay, Sean Carter is Jay-Z's, the rapper Jay-Z's real name. Jay-Z owns Rock Nation that Desiree Perez is the former and current CEO of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, I see. I'm looking at your copyright strike, and actually, let me put it on the screen right now for everybody else. Okay.
Hell
so
yeah.
It says your video title Jay-Z plug OG1. They've given you a copyright strike because you've used a photograph of Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z, and Juan Perez, and it says removal request issued by Sean Carter. That's Jay-Z. Now, mind you, we're talking about a guy who claims to be from the streets. Jay-Z says that he used to sell rock, that he's been shot at, that he's, there's these stories about him stabbing people. He's a gangster, right?
Right.
A street guy, a gangster. Now, you got a channel with 20, 30,000 subscribers. Okay. So, but Jay-Z, this big guy, street guy, gangster from from the Marcy Projects. Okay. So continue, please, or rewind a little bit and you tell the rest.
Okay. So that wasn't even the first. So, all right. So they got this video ticking down. So I was like, okay, that's kind of petty because it's like, of course, I'm trying to get my money off YouTube, my little pennies off of YouTube. You claim to be a billionaire. Okay, whatever. I re-uploaded the video. The video did good again. So it did good. It continued doing good, and after a couple months, boom, another copyright strike, removal request. But I was like, damn, I was doing nothing but bigging OG Juan up because OG Juan, he was that guy.
The first time you dropped the video, I believe, did you say it had 60,000 views?
Yeah, it had about 60,000 views.
Okay, and then the second time was at about 40,000 views.
45,000 views. So
okay,
45,000 views. Yep.
And then the second removal request comes in once again from Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z.
Yep. And Leo Cohen, he was the president of Def Jam back in the day, and then he made Jay-Z the president of Def Jam. He did business with Jay-Z back in the day. And now Leo Cohen, he's the CEO of YouTube. So all Jay-Z has to do is make that one phone call and get the video removed. Because Leo Cohen is the CEO of YouTube. You see how that works?
Right. Wow. So, okay, so we have a street guy, tough guy, a gangster, a so-called gangster, calls himself a gangster. Now he's a billionaire, and his name is on this copyright strike. You are a young brother from Philadelphia with a small channel, making your content, and you're not being derogatory. You were actually, like you said, you were bigging up Jay-Z, G1, right?
Yep.
And they send this. Now, we're getting to all this, okay, with this story. I have a question about this, and let me know if we've missed anything and there's any further with the story. But is Jay-Z a rat because of this?
Is Jay-Z a rat? He didn't go to law enforcement. He did damage control. That's what he did. So I wouldn't call him a rat, but he did damage control. Like, he took money out of my pockets and he took something from my channel. Jay-Z back in the day, he said you can't knock the hustle. So why would you interfere with someone else's hustle? If you wanted to be so thorough, you could have just had one of your guys email me and like, hey, we'll pay you a certain amount just to take this video down.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you wanted to be so thorough, but Jay, that's just Jay. He just does a lot of damage control. So that's his thing. He's trying to take the little money that I'm getting off of this, the information that I'm putting out. That's true. It's not like it's a lie. It's true. I big them up, and then when you're talking about someone, there's a part of the story. There's a highlight of the story, and then there's a downfall of the story. Just like when people tell stories about the streets. You got the glamour, the flashy lifestyle, and then you go down to the dark part of the streets, going to jail, getting snitched on, getting shot at, all the wars. So I gave them both parts in that story. And then, I got my video taken down.
Well,
So
see,
and I got two, and that put me at 2 copyright strikes. So if I get a 3rd copyright strike, they take my channel away from me completely.
well, they've gone. That's not now, right?
No, because copyright strikes, they go away after a certain amount of months.
Okay. Right. Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it is this. Okay. That's why I asked the question, is he a rat? Because, I mean, in terms of a man, okay, if you want to be a man about it, okay, in any circumstance with this, a man addresses it himself. A man sends a message to you and says, I'll either give you money or just asks you to take it down. To me, when you start going through law firms and lawyers and people like this and putting strikes and I mean, let's be honest, okay? I don't know if we can use the word rat, but when you go through YouTube to put a strike on a man's channel, that is I don't know if it's a rat move, but it's a snitch move, correct?
Yeah, it's a snitch move.
Okay, it's a snitch move. And dude, I mean, so listen, if you're...
let me ask you a question. It's not really a snitch move. You gotta look at it like this. That's Jay-Z. He's not losing anything. As far as me, like, say if you're Billy Luna, this is your business. This is your YouTube, right?
Right.
Okay. You worked hard. You spent hours editing a video.
Right.
And you put this video out. Your video is doing good. And then you got this random guy that takes your video and throw it on his channel. And he does a voiceover, and he's getting traction off of it. Yeah, he's getting paid off of your work, not shouting you out. What are you gonna do? Well, as a businessman, you're gonna get that video taken down because that's not fair to you.
Yeah, but what I'm gonna do first, because I don't consider myself to be a snitch or a rat. Right. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send you an email, and I'm gonna say, listen, you took my stuff. Take it down. Right. That's how, isn't that how a straight up guy handles stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, not to mention, okay, we're talking like, this dude's a billionaire. I mean, do you think, you weren't even disparaging him? In fact, what your work is doing there is probably benefiting him. It's almost like a commercial for his brand and his name.
Exactly. OG Juan, because a lot of people don't know who OG Juan is.
And it's just like, now, and then, lest we forget, we're touching on some stuff here because let's talk about, we're going to get to, the next topic we're going to get to is the biggest rat in the rap industry, 6ix9ine. It's almost too obvious to talk about as a rat. However, 6ix9ine has accused many, many people of being rats. That's, there's probably a lot of projection in that because he's the biggest rat of all time. However, one of the people that 6ix9ine accused, and this is a touchy subject here because, we're all from Philly, but 6ix9ine accused Philly's own Meek Mill of being a rat because Meek shouted out and took pictures with Desiree Perez, the CEO of Roc Nation, a woman who wore a wire. And, when she got popped for having 35 keys, she then, flipped, went to the feds, wore a wire and threw people under the jail. That is unequivocally a rat. Now, Jay-Z doesn't have a problem with that. That is the woman who is currently the CEO of Roc Nation. What are your thoughts about that in the context?
And don't forget that she got a pardon from Obama. Also.
Oh no, from Trump.
Oh, Trump gave her. Oh,
Trump.
Okay.
Trump gave her a pardon. Trump, several days before he left office, as a side note, pardoned Lil Wayne, Kodak Black, and Desiree Perez, along with, I believe, about 120 others. Yeah. So that's a different thing, but that is true. That is a true thing. But she still got popped for 35 keys, wore a wire, and she got pardoned. That's fine. There's people rotting in jail for the rest of their lives because of her. She's a rat. And Jay-Z, I just always think about, not to get back to Joey Merlino, but I always think about WWJT. What would Joey think? I guarantee you, Joey is not going to have somebody in his organization that wore a wire and got people thrown under the jail. And so, therefore, I guess Jay-Z doesn't go by that standard, right?
Nah, Jay-Z is far removed from the streets. And when you're doing business, when you get to that level, you should be far removed from the streets.
Right. But I don't want to, it's like people are like, oh, you're, just Joey. Joey Merlino is never gonna, he's not on the street. He's doing legitimate stuff, but he's not gonna put a rat as his CEO. I guarantee you that. He's not even gonna like as he would mention, if a rat was on fire, he wouldn't pee on him.
Yeah.
Okay. So
here's a story about Aaron Jones. He was the boss of JBM.
Junior Black. Okay, so just like for everybody, it's Junior Black Mafia, right?
Yep.
This is a Philly organization.
Yeah. So he was a boss of JBM. He was in jail, and Vin Rain approached him with an opportunity. Hey, we're trying to do a movie about you. We're going to try to do a documentary about you.
That's Ving Rhames, who played, in Pulp Fiction. He played Marcellus Wallace, famous actor.
Yes. So they approached Aaron Jones. Desiree Perez also approached Aaron Jones, but Aaron Jones stuck to the code and says, "Hey, no, I'm not doing no business with a rat."
Interesting.
So it's like you kind of become a slave to the rules because he's in jail. He's not going nowhere. He was on death row. So it's like for him to turn that down, like I'm not doing no business with a rat. That's like, damn, like
wow.
He just shut it down. He just shut it down.
See, that's what we're talking about here, man. That's when you have this bone deep hatred of rats. That is what we refer to as a stand-up guy. And I guess there's degrees, but man, there's kind of is and there isn't. That cat, look at him. He's behind bars. Ving Rhames wants to do a project with him, but he won't F with it because this woman that wants to make the deal was a hardcore snitch. I mean, my God, right. I mean, when you talk about being a snitch and you like this and that there is no harder level of it than, I guess, did she ever testify in court?
I'm not sure. All I know is like, she really don't have to testify in court because she wore a wire.
Right.
So,
right. That's
pretty much all the proof you got right there.
Right. Now, see, this is the thing, what I think too, and I have told you this before. I don't know if we want to call this a rat move. I don't know if we want to call this a snitch move, what they did to you and your channel. However, I would say, I've told you, if I ever get a chance to talk to Jay-Z or his people, I'll explain this to them and I'll say, you got a young brother from Philly with a very talented cat. Young brother from Philly trying to make his way all by himself doing this. You got this $1 billion corporation. You got at the head of it a rat, blah, blah, blah. That's a little beside the point. But I would say, Jay-Z, are you cool? This young brother's trying to do what he's doing, making his moves, and you're hitting him like this. So what I would say to Jay-Z, and if anyone who knows Jay-Z is listening to this, I think that you all need to get in touch with my man Members Only here. And Jay-Z, I think to make up for this, why don't you give my man a little bit of an interview or something? After all, you are his favorite rapper after all this, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean, I just think, I like to, that's why I ask like what you think, what your thoughts are. And
yeah, it's like, course, I like him as a rapper, but it's like, he is a human being. So, I may like you as a rapper, but as a person, you could be this dirty, this rotten person. Right.
And I mean, of course, once again, everybody in the comments, let us know what you all think about this. These situations it's kind of complicated. Where is it at? Are we talking snitch? Are we talking rat? Are we talking punk? What's up? Let us know. You know? Okay, so that's an interesting story, man. That's like something that kind of touched you. And so then, I mean, we talk about, 6ix9ine, as I mentioned, 6ix9ine had called out a lot of people we're going to get to as rats. I told you he felt that he called Meek Mill a rat just because he was shouting out Desiree Perez and took some photos with her. And let me see. What did I have? I was looking at this article here where he was talking about it. So Tekashi 6ix9ine pulled up multiple pictures of Grammy-nominated rapper Meek Mill with Roc Nation CEO Desiree Perez and pointed out a paragraph in a New York Daily News article that read, Desiree Perez, the wife of longtime Jay-Z wingman Juan Perez, became a cooperating witness for the DEA in the 1990s after her 1994 arrest for possession of 35 keys of white. Perez struck a deal with the feds, agreeing to wear hidden wires to record her meetings with major white traffickers. So then that was his whole thing. And then of course, we get back to Tekashi 6ix9ine. So Tekashi 6ix9ine, basically, just to give a little background, I mean, everybody knows who he is. He was a kid. He's half Puerto Rican, half Mexican. He's from Brooklyn, and he has rainbow colored hair and rainbow colored teeth. And he was a rapper, just a normal rapper, not a gangster, not a tough guy. We've seen him get his ass whooped many times. He's a little guy. His early stuff was more like, he calls himself Tekashi 6ix9ine, which sounds like a manga or an anime thing, like Japanese animation. And that's kind of where his first stuff kind of came out of. It was like almost like this, like, he's got rainbow hair, rainbow teeth, no gangster stuff, none. Okay. And then so he got some traction. He had a couple songs that started to pop. He did the song, his big breakthrough hit was Gummo. And that was the video. But so for the video in Gummo, he mentions Billy's and he mentions Hoovers. Billy's, as we know, is a way to say the gang, the Bloods, and Hoovers is a way to say the gang, the Crips. And so he mentioned that in the song. So he actually thought, wouldn't it be cool if for the video of Gummo, he got a bunch of Bloods? So the 9 Trey Bloods, he got in touch with them. He got somebody to like kind of put him on with them, and they showed up to the video shoot. Tekashi supposedly bought like thousands of red rags, and so that video shoot was his big breakthrough, and really one of the only songs of his I even like. But he's talking about Bloods and Crips, and he's got gang flags. So suddenly, all of a sudden, this kid is a gangster, and he's with the Bloods, and he's wearing a red rag, right? This is out of the blue, man. He did not get jumped into the Bloods. He did not, do dirt with the Bloods. He just did this as a almost like a visual publicity stunt for his video. And
it sounds similar to Tupac.
Well, exactly, man. Oh my God. You know what? And let me tell you something. When you have people that are not street people, that are not true tough guys, that are not, and they get involved, it never ends well. It never ends well. Exactly. Tupac, we know Tupac, we've seen Tupac, younger in Baltimore reading Shakespeare, he's a sensitive artist. He's not a gangbanger. But then, you want to get involved in this grimy street shit, and it doesn't go well. So, Tekashi, there's a guy named Shotty who's like he's a big homie with the 9 Trey Bloods, very, very, very powerful blood set in New York, a blood set in New York, started in Rikers Island, one of these Blood Nation prison gang blood sets. We think of the Bloods usually as, they originally came from California. So he gets with Shotty. And, he all of a sudden now he's with the Bloods, and he's just this little guy with rainbow hair, but he talks tough. He's the troll. He trolls on everybody because he's got the Bloods. He's got some really, badass Bloods behind him. So he's all over the map doing this and that. So then what happens with this cat?
First, he ended up beefing with all types of people from all over the United States. So he basically was telling guys he's not checking in. So he's beefing with Mexicans out in Cali. He's beefing with guys out in Atlanta, which is, Jay Prince Jr., his set. He's beefing with guys in Chicago, Lil Durk, Chief Keef. They saying he actually put a hit out on Chief Keef. He put some money out on Chief Keef.
Right.
Yeah, so he's moving like a gangster now.
Oh yeah, he's now. Once again, let's flash back a little bit. We're talking about a kid who's kind of into like, it's almost like a Japanese animation kind of vibe. He's got rainbow hair, rainbow teeth, but suddenly, boom, overnight he's a gangster because now this is something I think there's a big appeal to straight people when they start hanging with gangsters because they feel that power. They feel that like that dangerous power and that rock star vibe. And it's addictive. But here's one of the problems. There's several problems. But one of the problems is, you're rolling with lions now. You're rolling with lions and people are scared of you because you're rolling with lions. But guess what? Those lions can turn on you. Exactly. And that's what happened. Eventually, Tekashi, after all this stuff, and he got pistol whipped, he got robbed,
he got kidnapped too.
Yeah, because this is all within the 9 Trey gangsters, and of course, now, also the 9 Trey gangsters should not have been playing with Tekashi in the first place, and no one should have, because let's not forget. He had a charge with some bad stuff with a 13-year-old girl before this happened.
Yeah, okay? I forgot about
that. Yeah. So that's like, that's the thing. These gangsters, do your research, okay? Because, anybody who wants to roll with somebody that's got some bad stuff with a 13-year-old girl? Nobody. Right? And I'll tell you, so gangsters don't. In jail, you certainly don't. You're gonna get smashed on sight at minimum for that kind of shit. Okay, so he pled guilty to a felony count of use of a child in a. I don't want to get demonetized here. Felony count of use of a child in an S performance. Okay, so I don't want to say the word because I don't want to get demonetized. But so he messed around with the 13-year-old girl. Okay. And then there's some other stuff later where he choked out a 16-year-old, blah, blah, blah. So these guys shouldn't have been playing with this cat anyway. Okay. With that kind of pedigree, and so what happens is, guess what? He gets into some stuff, some real street stuff. I mean, there's a lot of beefs. He beefs with other blood sets, Casanova, notably, blah, blah, blah. And then guess what he does? He snitches. Of course he snitches. He's a rainbow-haired, rainbow-teethed kid who, it looks like anime, manga stuff. He's not a gangbanger. So he snitches and brings down Shoddy, the big homie that was his guy, is him and everybody else are sent up for a long time. I think Shoddy maybe got 15 years. This guy got this guy got that. And he sang like a canary. And then because of COVID, I think Tekashi, because he snitched, he turned rat. I think he only actually ended up doing 4 months in prison. And and here's the thing too with Tekashi that's interesting to me is that no one cares about rats anymore. That cat right now, after he ratted, Nicki Minaj started doing songs with him. Everybody was doing songs. I think Kodak Black, all these real gangsters, so many people, and especially the younger generation, don't care if you're a rat anymore, right? They don't care.
Don't care because, what's the difference between back in the day when it comes to hip hop?
What is it?
It's like back in the day, like hip hop wasn't really as mainstream as it is today. Mm-hmm. So guys weren't getting booked at the Wells Fargo Center, or they wasn't getting booked in Phillips Arena. These big old stadiums back in the day. The rappers they had to go to the hood spots because those were the places that they was getting their money. Like you would get booked at a hood spot before you would get booked in the Phillips Arena.
Right.
So the big arenas, the mainstream, they wasn't really messing with rap like that. So you had to go get your money. You had to go to some certain hoods and certain clubs to make your money. So you couldn't be a rap going into these hoods. You had to be official back in the day.
Right.
So that's the difference. Nowadays, you got mainstream. You go into these big arenas where you got like the spoiled kid that loves Tekashi 6ix9ine, his parents are going to spend that money for him to get front row seats. And you got guys that, that they don't care. That snitch world doesn't exist in their world. They're just fans. They just love the music.
Right.
So that's the difference.
Right. Like back in the day, like you're talking about. Yeah, it was not as big. The money, everything was smaller, and you had to go to hood spots with your music. So therefore you had to be official. You had to roll with gangsters just, to survive that. Right.
Yeah. Cause they wasn't going to let a snitch come through the hood. No.
Right. And that's changed. And then also like just to get back to, not to digress and jump around too much, but that goes back to the video that we were talking about of yours that Jay-Z put that strike in. I remember in that video, cause you just sent it to me and I watched it. You had said that, what was Jay-Z in the beginning of his rap career? Did he still have one foot in the street? And in that video, your observation that was for sure for the first few years of Jay-Z, he definitely had one foot in the street. We're talking about dealing keys and such like this, because the reason being the rap money wasn't that big back then.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a lot of money. So he must have, and this is once again more to like the point that Jay-Z is supposedly a gangster and shouldn't be, settling things with little copyright strikes in my mind. But that's a little digression. Yeah. But so Tekashi, it's funny to me. Yeah, the guy now is a rat, and then you got these rats now. See, the rat culture is crazy. Like you got Gene Borello on YouTube. I'm proud to be a rat. People are proud to be rats. Tekashi's like in his video, he has rats in one of his last videos, and he's proud to be a rat. And guess what? All these people are working with him. He's got 20 million subscribers. So this is once again, man, it's a code from a different era. Like you and I know a gentleman named Tracy Mason. And then there's Joey Merlino. These guys are from a different era. There's a different level of honor. There's a different level of conduct. There's a different level of principle. Nowadays, where is that? These guys are almost like from a bygone era, because nowadays it seems like a lot of people, the general public doesn't even care that much about rats.
Yeah, and the rats are getting treated better than the stand-up guys. Just like I said in my one video, with I was comparing Alpo Martinez to Wayne Perry. Alpo Martinez, he snitched on Wayne Perry. There's a lot of people that went out and bought a book that Troy Reed made on Alpo called I Never Met Alpo. Boom. The sales is off the charts. A lot of guys say they hate rats, but they went out and got the book about a rat. But when it comes to Wayne Perry, no one paid money on his books. They spend money just to read a story about a rat, which was Alpo. But when it comes to Wayne Perry, no one's putting all this money on his books. Like a lot of people treat the stand-up guy like crap. He's sitting behind bars, not getting money for commissary. People hitting his baby moms on the street. He's not getting nothing. They say, all they say is, hey, he's a stand-up guy. And then you got the rat that's around here that's getting booked for shows, that's getting all the fame. A lot of people really supporting him, sending them cash apps. That's just how it goes. And it's just different.
Yeah, man, it is different, because Tracy Mason is a dear friend of yours. And, we've all talked, and we're going to be getting a lot of things together with Tracy in the future. And, Tracy and then Joey Merlino, these are stand-up guys. Neither of these cats would ever consider even like peeing on a rat if they were on fire. But this is there, but these cats are from a different generation. This is like something's changed, And it's like, it blows my mind, man. Things done changed, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's different. It's very different right now.
Let's talk about the rapper Gunna. Gunna with YSL. YSL is it's a record label. They say it stands for Young Stoner Life. However, some others will say it stands for Young Slime Life, slime being a way to refer to the Blood Gang, because it is alleged that Young Thug and Gunna and all of these guys on this label are Bloods. They're Bloods. So now there's a huge RICO case right now against Young Thug and YSL, this record label. Gunna is one of the main artists on YSL, and they're in the midst of this huge RICO trial, and people have accused Gunna of being a rat. What now? Do you want me to tell you a little bit about Gunna, what he said and what he did in court?
Yeah.
Okay. Gunna admitted in court that YSL was a, quote, Gunna admitted in court that YSL was a gang. He also admitted that, quote, I recognize, accept, and deeply regret that my talent in music indirectly furthered YSL, the gang, to the detriment of my community. YSL as a gang must end. That was read to him by the prosecutor, and he agreed to that. Okay, so that is in a court of law, and it reminds me of what they call in Cosa Nostra cases, in RICO Cosa Nostra cases. It reminds me of an allocution. An allocution is when the judge in a plea deal makes you say that you are a member of Cosa Nostra, and that's a no-no. You can't do that. But Gunna did admit that as part of his plea deal. What are your thoughts about that?
Gunna, I never listened to his music. And as far as that, we just have to see. We just have to see what he does from there. Because a lot of people, he agreed to cooperate, but it's like, all right, you agreed to it just to get off, but is you really going to do it? So that's my thing. It's just like, all right, so we'll see what he's going to do.
Yeah, but is what he said in court a rap move? In court, because they say, oh no, YSL is a record label, it's not a gang, but he says YSL is a gang. Is that in and of itself? Is that in and of itself a rap move?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. I think, once again though, we live in an era. This is a younger rapper. This is a modern rapper. A lot of people don't care. But I think that in this game, these guys are allegedly Bloods. I think that the real street guys, the real ones, are not going to have anything to do with him, because you don't allocute in court like that. You can take a plea. That's cool. There's one thing if you have a big RICO and you say, okay, I take a plea to like a smaller charge, such as when Joey Merlino had this huge supposed East Coast La Cosa Nostra enterprise, and they had him facing like the electric chair. And then, his amazing lawyer, Eddie Jacobs, crushes him down, and he ends up taking a plea to placing a bet. Okay, that's fine, because there's no allocution. You know what I mean? There's just like, okay, I made a bet. That's all I did. I'm a guy. I'm an individual in society. I made a bet. Boom. That's a plea. That's cool. Okay. However, when you admit that you're a member of a criminal organization, such as a gang, many people would say that is a absolute rap move. But I wonder what's going to happen to Gunna, because so many people don't care nowadays. Maybe he'll have a career. Or what do you think?
He still have a career. Like, a lot of people, he's still selling out shows, and a lot of people, buying his music still. But yeah, when it comes to organization, like crime organization, gangs, you're not supposed to admit to it. You're not supposed to admit to it. That's the
course.
thing.
Yeah. That's a no-no. And that's a no-no kind of understates it. That's a capital offense, and it's like, but once again, like you said, in the old days of rap, you got to go into the hood and they're real people checking it out. Nowadays, they're packing arenas with little snot-nosed white kids from the suburbs. What do they give a shit? Like those guys, they all like the movies and they all pretend, but they're not street guys. They're just little spoiled little white kids, right?
Yeah. So when it comes to a RICO case is very hard to beat, because all you have to do is have a little affiliation with that. So with them asking Gunna is what is it, YSL or whatever the hell they call it. Well, if them asking him, is it a gang, and him saying yeah, that kind of put everyone in jail right there. Like, all right, we have a statement from this guy. He testified, or he wrote the statement saying that it is a gang.
Right.
So with them being in a gang, when it comes to a RICO,
exactly,
they're done. Just like the mob case, like the commission trial back in the 80s. All they had to do was get the affiliation. You had Carmine Persico was saying that if the Mafia didn't exist, then we'd have no trial. We wouldn't be here. And that's what really killed them.
Exactly. See, that's the other thing too, that when you say like, and this is what Joey Merlino said about John Gotti Jr. Like John Gotti Jr. is like, well, I sat down and I did a 302 with the FBI, but I never testified and nobody went to prison. You don't know that. You don't know what you did and what that became. You don't know what search warrants, what taps, what down the line, da 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 da. And chances are it became a lot of different things. So you can't say that. That's why, yeah, exactly what you said. I mean, because Gunna admitted the existence of a criminal enterprise, that people are, accused of being a part of and are currently on trial for, including people who put Gunna on, such as Young Thug. The plea deal that Gunna took can be used by his admission that YSL was a gang, and that admission actually implicates Young Thug, his boy, and he also pled guilty to conspiracy. Conspiracy involves more than one person. So who is he conspiring with? Whether or not Gunna ends up testifying is irrelevant,
Exactly. So
that's kind of
just for that statement alone could throw them in jail for life.
Right. And and then but in Gunna, you can't ever say, oh, well, it didn't do this, it didn't do that. You don't know what it did. You don't know, because those things are vast, man. And that stuff spreads like wildfire,
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Now there's, we'll use this rainbow haired rapper as a conduit because he's called a lot of people rats. I mean, he's the king of the rats and he's called people rats.
Right. Men really love company.
Oh God, man. Yeah, exactly. Rats all like to get together and share their cheese, right? We're going to get back to Tekashi 6ix9ine, and we're going to get to something really, the big explosive thing about, one of the biggest gangster rappers of all time. But first, let's get into this other thing about situation with rapper Bun B. Members only. Can you tell me a little bit? First, just tell everybody a little bit about who Bun B was, and then explain this situation that he was involved in with the home invasion.
Okay, so Bun B was a true rapper from the South. Gangster rapper. He used to rap about, shooting people, home invasions and all that stuff. Okay. I don't think he's so active in the rap game, but he's well respected. He's a little older. I don't know if he's close to 50. He might be a little over 50, but he went to college. He got a degree. He owns a restaurant right now. He's not a criminal or he's not really a rapper anymore. He's doing things like legit things. So it was a home invasion involving his wife. Someone broke into his house. I think he grabbed his wife or whatever. And Bun B, he shot him. And then the guy was arrested. And the guy was put to trial and Bun B took the stand, which he didn't really have to do. He didn't have to take the stand. That's the big thing. Bun B didn't have to take the stand because they already had the guy. They was already going to, charge the guy. But with Bun B taking a stand, they kind of put the cherry on top, especially with him crying. So he cried and he was just basically saying that he was just in fear for his wife. He was in fear for her life. And he was just basically just telling everybody that experience was very hard for him. So it was kind of hard to see a former gangster rapper that used to rap about home invasions taking a stand and putting that cherry on top.
And testifying. He testified.
Yep, testifying. So, a lot of people laughing at him saying that, he's a rat. And what I think is, I think he didn't really have to testify and cry and put on that show. He didn't really have to do that. But, yeah, is he a rat? No, because he did his thing. He shot the guy. The cops had to be called. The cops had to be called because it's like if he killed the guy without even calling the cops, he would have had to get rid of the body. And then now he's being arrested for killing the guy, So
right.
So he just had to do. He did what he had to do as a family man, just to protect his wife, to protect himself.
So yeah, because he handled it at first like a gangster. The guy had a gun. They shot it out. He ended up shooting the guy. Was it multiple times? I think Bun B shot the guy.
I don't know if it's multiple times, but he handled himself as a family man. Because it's the guy that has a gun in his house right now that's not a gangster. But if you break in his house, he's going to shoot you because he's protecting his family and he's protecting himself.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Yeah. He handled it like anyone would protect their family. But so the question remains, because he's a guy now. I don't even know if he was associated with the criminal organization allegedly or not. But the guy used to talk about home invasions himself and blah blah blah.
He raps about selling keys and everything, home invasions, and doing all that gangster stuff. So
then he takes the stand. He takes a stand, testifies in court, and cries. Is he a rat? Is he a snitch? What is he?
I look at it as he's a family man. He's protecting his family because he's far disconnected from the streets, and that brings up, that comes back to what we talked about earlier. Like, when is it over? Like, when is it time to be a man instead of a gangster? Like, are you a slave to the gangster rules your whole life? Or could you settle down and have a family and have a good life without looking over your shoulder, without having to go by the rules of the streets?
Interesting. So you're saying not a rat, even though you testify in court?
No, he's not a rat. Someone broke into his house. He had to do what he had to do. The thing is, he didn't have to take the stand. They already had the guy for home invasion.
Everybody, let us know what you all think with every little aspect here. We want to hear very much what you think in the comments. So let us know what you think. Is Bun B a rat? Is he just a family man? What is he? Back to the rainbow-headed rapper turned rat, Tekashi 6ix9ine. Tekashi 6ix9ine, another person that he came out strongly against as a rat. And in this case is a little bit different because there's some paperwork to back it up. Basically, I'll give you the background on this. He came out and he called Snoop Dogg a rat. And he said, Snoop Dogg was a rat because of a situation that happened back in 1998 in which we're going to show you the paperwork. And we're going to let you decide whether Snoop is a rat, and you tell us what you think. But Tekashi said that. And so Tekashi and Snoop had a war of words. Tekashi called Snoop a rat. And then Snoop made a video, saying, you better not say this, you're messing with the wrong one, et cetera, et cetera. The story back in 1998 was Snoop Dogg was on Death Row Records. Okay, as we all know, Death Row Records was headed by Suge Knight, who was allegedly a mob Pyru blood. That's a blood set from Compton, California. And as we all know, Suge Knight, big bad guy, very tough. So Snoop wanted to leave the label, and Snoop ended up getting out of his contract with Death Row and signed with No Limit Records, Master P's label, and that's from down south in Louisiana. Snoop was doing a show with Daz Dillinger and a couple other people at the Universal Amphitheater, and there's this guy named Reggie Wright Jr., who is I think he was a cop. His dad was a cop. Was he a cop?
I think he was a cop. I think they both were cops. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but he also, Reggie Wright Jr. was heavily involved with Suge Knight, Death Row Records, and the Blood Gang, the Mob Pyru Bloods. So anyway, Snoop does a show at the Universal Amphitheater. Apparently Snoop's on stage talking a lot of mess on Suge Knight and Death Row. And all of a sudden, and this story is related by Reggie Wright, that cop. You can see this all over the place. So all of a sudden, Suge Knight, Reggie Wright show up with about 60 Bloods coming for Snoop. Now, Snoop Dogg, let's talk about Snoop Dogg for a second. Snoop Dogg is and I'm not even going to say alleged here because he admits this. Snoop Dogg wears all blue because he was and says he is a member of the Long Beach Rollin' 20s Crip set. Okay, so he's a Crip. Now, so apparently Snoop and Daz, I believe Daz Dillinger is also a Crip. I believe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he's a Crip.
Is he a Rollin' 20 Crip like Snoop from Long Beach?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I don't know if that's his set, but he's a Crip. So, once again, if you were in the Crips and I'm not going to say alleged here because he admitted it. And currently it says he is, I'm not going to say alleged. The Crips are a gangster group. Okay. So what happens is, I guess all of these, badass Mob Piru Bloods back in the day were nothing to be played with. And they come charging the stage. So apparently Snoop and Daz Dillinger run for their lives and they run to the sheriff's substation at the Universal Amphitheater and they go to get protection from the sheriffs. And then what happens is the sheriffs, search them. They find some some weed on them or whatever. And then so they're like, oh, we were so scared. Thank God. We're so happy. The sheriffs, you're bailing us out. And then the sheriffs reported all these like Bloods are running out. So basically they ran for their lives to the sheriff's substation and were saved by the sheriffs. Now, this is a story told by Reggie White. However, there is paperwork on it. I want to show you the paperwork on this, and I want to know what you think about this. So I'm going to show the paperwork, and we're going to go over it, members only. But what do you think so far about this story?
Well, it sounds like they feared for their lives. And it goes back to when does it stop? When could you start being a civilian instead of a gangster? Because you're making hit records, you're a millionaire. I know they still rapped about the gangster lifestyle, and he wore that flag. But when it comes to that, back in the day, we didn't have the internet, so it was kind of hard to really get paperwork. Nowadays with the internet, you could just look it up, and it's right there. And that's the thing. But as far as right now, if he snitched or not, it can't affect him. Look where he's at now. He's sitting with Martha Stewart on her show. He's making millions of dollars. So that cannot take anything from him as of right now. But back in the day, if it was really big and if the streets knew it, he wouldn't have probably made it that far, really.
If you're a Crip, you say you're a Crip. I mean, he makes songs. He made a song called Pimp Slap about Suge Knight, how he's gonna, you're gonna get hit if you don't stop talking shit on a Crip. I mean, he says it, and that's why we don't need to use the alleged word here. He says it. He wears blue. He was on the Super Bowl. He wears blue everywhere. He's a Crip. He's in a gang. He's proudly in a gang. And if you're in a gang, I don't think you can run for your life to the sheriff's substation. Can you or not? No. He one thing about Snoop Dogg, he had more people around him when he was with Suge. So Suge, he was with the MOB, Pyru. Okay, most of the guys in Suge camp was basically protecting Snoop, which was a Crip. Snoop didn't really have that, like a big old following of Crips that was under him or that was around him that he could have used to protect him against Suge. Because when he went to No Limit Records, No Limit Records provided protection from Suge. Snoop Dogg really didn't have that, that muscle to really protect him from Suge. So that just tells you right there that he wasn't really that deep in the streets. Right. Yeah, a lot of people said that he's technically, Long Beach was interesting because especially back in the day, Long Beach is unique because there was no blood sets there. Long Beach had many different Crip sets, but no blood sets. So it was all Crip in Long Beach at that point. Obviously, Long Beach is pretty close to Compton. The thing about Snoop is that Snoop was a rapper. He's a genius rapper. My God, natural rapper, just off the top of his head back then to this day. Brilliant cat for sure. And, I think that he came up because you kind of almost in that hood kind of had to almost be a rolling 20 Crip. But he was definitely not a work guy, definitely not a hitter, definitely not muscle. He was the rapper. But still, you're wearing that flag. You're wearing that blue flag on the left side of your back pocket. You're wearing all blue. You're claiming rolling 20s Crip. you are a Crip, right?
Yep.
So here, let's check out this thing. This is the entire Sheriff's Department police report. Now, and don't trust me on this. Just go Google it. You can find this yourself. This is what we call paperwork. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what we're going to show here. Now, this is something this is when they ran to the Universal Amphitheater, LA County Sheriff's Substation. And this is filled out. This paperwork was put in by Brad Weckler, a lieutenant with the LA County Sheriff. And it refers to Calvin Brodus. That is, as we know, Snoop Dogg's real name. It says AKA Snoop Doggy Dogg. And Delmar Arnaud. That's Daz Dillinger's real name, AKA Daz Dillinger. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll just give you a little bit. It says in the report, the incident began when 4 to 5 male African Americans approached Mr. Brodus, that's Snoop Dogg. He recognized them as employees of Death Row Records, a company he just broke away from. One of them struck him in the face with his fist. Now, Reggie White had mentioned that he was among that group, and Reggie gave the signal to one of his people to punch Snoop in the face, and then that's what that is. Snoop got punched in the face. Mr. Brodus, Mr. Arnaud, and a third man immediately ran out of the backstage area outside to where they knew the deputies were. That's the LA County Sheriff's deputies. They knew they were posted there. They ran to them for protection. As the 3 men approached the 2 deputies, Mr. Arnaud yelled out, "He's got a gun!" Deputies Sabatine and Farrell immediately patted the 3 men down for weapons and discovered that they had some weed on them. Deputy Sabatine requested assistance when he noted that approximately 60 males had exited the backstage area and were approaching them in various degrees of hostility. Approximately 20 deputies assigned to the Universal Substation, along with 12 Universal Studio armed security officers, they're off-duty police officers, and 30 uniformed American Protective Service officers responded. I mean, can you imagine, you got to say, can you imagine having 60 Bloods running at you?
Yeah, that's vicious.
Dude, that's that's deep, man. 60? That is rolling deep. Damn.
Yeah,
that's
but it's like,
army.
if it was really 60, it's like, all right, you got 60 people, so none of the 60 people got to them.
Well, they were. It's very controlled. They just punched him in the face. Yeah, I don't think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they wanted something further, they would have done it. They just are trying to intimidate here. Mm-hmm. Mr. Brodus, now that's Snoop Doggy Dogg, was extremely cooperative during the incident, and in fact said that he was thankful that the deputies had been there, as he felt that the assault was intended as an act of intimidation. He told the deputy that he felt that he was in grave danger as a result of leaving Death Row Records and signed with his new label. They say in the report here, No Limits. They say it with an S. It's actually, of course, Master P's No Limit Records. Mm-hmm. Mr. Brodus also said that he felt Mr. Arnaud, that's Daz Dillinger, was in danger as he is still under contract to Death Row Records. So basically, the sheriff's deputy asks Snoop Dogg if he knew who killed Tupac Shakur, who had been killed not that long previously to this. Mm-hmm. Mr. Brodus, Snoop Dogg, responded by saying it was the man sitting next to Tupac. The sheriff's deputy asked Snoop Dogg if he meant Suge Knight, and Snoop Dogg replied affirmatively. We got Snoop Dogg, a member of the Rolling 20s Crips, running for his life to a sheriff's substation. He's happy they're there because they saved him. And then now Snoop Dogg is saying that, according to this sheriff's report, he told the sheriff that Suge Knight killed Tupac. What are your thoughts, members only?
Yeah, that's snitching. Yeah, so he was willing to do anything just to get Suge locked up so he don't have to deal with that pressure Suge was putting on him. So he had rather lie to law enforcement. Like, snitching is one thing, but you're lying and snitching? Yeah, that's horrible.
I wonder if there's a word for that when you're like, you're snitching, but you're lying. I guess it's like super snitching.
A lot of people does it. Like Sammy the Bull did it. It's like lying and rat. Like a rat is going to lie to get himself off.
Right. That's right. I mean, that's what the Joey Merlino has talked about that because, like, you know, Joey talks about when he was going to be put into a cell with a known rat. He's like, put me in solitary right now. I'm not going to that cell because that's all they need to do is get, like, when Joey was in prison, they stole his paperwork because they would be able to make up lies effectively. And all you really need is access to an internet connection, and you make up lies. That's, I guess when you talk about ratting and snitching, what percentage of it, I wonder, is lies? Probably over 50%, right?
Yeah, because you would have to put yourself at, like, when Sammy the Bull testified against John Gotti, he had to put John Gotti at the crime scene, and John Gotti wasn't there.
That's right.
Allegedly.
That's right. And that's okay. And here's the funny thing, man. Who writes history? Like, who writes history? The story that we know of the Paul Castellano assassination is all basically coming from Sammy the Bull Gravano. And just because that was, testimony in court, people take that as fact. But yeah, was John Gotti there? You think he was?
Hell no, he wasn't there.
Huh.
Why would he be there? Why? You got to look at it. Why would he be there? If he's not shooting a gun or anything, why would he be there?
Right.
And his son, it seems like his son don't really know shit neither, because when they made the John Gotti movie, it was basically stuff that we already know. So it's like, he didn't tell us anything. Every time he talks about John Gotti, he don't tell us anything that we don't know. And that was your father. So how much do you really know about him?
Dude, we live in a post-truth society. Like, who makes up the rules? Like how many people know this about Snoop Dogg? Not many, because Snoop Dogg is a mogul. I mean, and ironically, isn't it ironic that Snoop Dogg now owns Death Row Records? Yeah,
well, when it comes to that, it's like, why? Like, why? Because he's Suge Knight is in jail. I don't know how long, like, how much time he got, but it's just like, why? It's like, this guy been, like, harassing you for the longest. He's in jail now. Now he's trying to take over Death Row Records, but Suge Knight didn't even own Death Row Records, like 100%. So what percentage do you have?
Right.
What percentage do you really have? Like, you gotta look at it like that. What percentage do you own? Because Suge Knight didn't even own 100% of it.
Right.
For Snoop Dogg to own it, who did he buy it off of?
What is the narrative, though? Like, Snoop Dogg, I think if you ask most people, like, I think the general public doesn't even know about organized crime or whatever. They might not know he's claims to be a rolling 20 Crip, but a lot of people probably do. But if you ask a lot of people, is Snoop Dogg a snitch or a rat? I think they would say no. And it's like, you think about a guy like, we got Michael Franzese, Joey Merlino points out, this guy is a rat. Like, look at this picture right here of Michael being sworn in to testify. We live in a post-truth world where I don't know if reality matters. It's like, who says things? If you say something over and over, you say a lie over and over again, and you have a big platform, it becomes the truth. I get so many people that, like, argue about, things that I know to be facts in the comments all the time. And it's like, it's a weird world. How do you check? And, where does everybody fit into this world? Like, whose world is this? Is this the rat's world, or is this Skinny Joey Merlino's world? We're going to be working with Skinny Joey Merlino a lot in the future. And I think that there's something about Skinny there's some kind of honor, and there's something bigger. And I want to see a more realistic, honorable world,
Hell yeah.
And then we talk about, like, we're going to be getting a lot of stuff together with the man Tracy Mason, and these cats are cut from different cloth. And, like, I feel like there's just something more to it. Like, if you love the genre, the guys who are not the rats, the stand-up guys, the guys who stand up and take their lumps like a man and go to jail, they're the ones we like. I mean, if you think about it in a movie, it's like some lying, betraying, disloyal snitch. That's not the hero, right?
Exactly.
We got to set things right, man. I think that on our channels, I think you get the real stories, and I think we need to continue to tell these stories.
Well, you have to include the rats in it because that's a part of the game. Snitching is part of the game. You gotta cover the game from all angles. You gotta talk about the rat and then the snitching. You gotta talk about everything.
It's part of the story, right?
Yeah, you gotta look at it. It's like if it wasn't for like informants, we wouldn't really know a lot of things about this mob history. Like as far as the mob genre, we wouldn't know nothing if it wasn't for the informants.
It's a larger story. It's like sometimes I think there's a lot of censorship in the world under the guise of whatever you want to call it. But, I think that, like, for instance, like when you tell a story, there's good guys and there's bad guys. Like, and you can't like say, oh, the bad guys did bad things and you can't censor that. You got to tell the whole story. You can't tell like the story of Star Wars without Darth Vader, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it have to be a good guy and a bad guy. Like you said, you can't tell a story without Darth Vader when it comes to Star Wars. You can't tell a crime story without rats. You can't tell a crime story without informants. Like the police officers, they're just part of the game.
Right.
It's just part of the game. And one thing about like Joe Merlino, his show, like he focused on rats a lot. I think he should focus on the good guys also that stood tall. So,
he does, but I think he should more. Like, he's been talking about, I did a video. He actually just told this really interesting story about Nick the Blade Virgilio. And I did a story on that. And that's what I try to do with my channel. A lot of stuff with the Joey. I try to basically I do like reaction videos of his stuff on Patreon and stuff. And what I basically am doing is kind of creating bonus materials for Joey's stuff. Like I want people to go and I want them to sign up to Joey's channel and subscribe, and I want them to sign up to his Patreon. And what I provide is like the bonus materials to that, which I think a lot of people want, because like when we talk, sometimes when we speak, we're kind of esoteric because we know a lot about stuff, but we forget a lot of the viewers don't know all the stuff we know. So you gotta sometimes fill in the blanks for people. And when Joey talks about stories and just mentions, oh, Nick the Blade Virgilio or Salvi Testa or Nicky Scarfo, I think a lot of people don't necessarily even know who those people are. So that's what I kind of try to do in some of my stuff lately, is just kind of provide the bonus materials,
Yeah, that's good for this genre. That's very good.
For sure. Well, the genre is, there's a lot of stuff coming from us. Me and Members Only are going to get a lot of stuff together. This cat, I'm proud to have him on my channel and be working with him because I just love what he does. And we're going to be going through the stratosphere. Both of our channels are ascending, and we're talking to a lot of big time cats. We're going to do some stuff with Tracy Mason. Tracy, Members Only was good enough to introduce me to that gentleman. And so you got to look out for some great stuff to come. The best is yet to come. And
it's definitely coming. It's coming.
Billy Luna.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to first thank my special guest, Members Only. It's an absolute honor to have this cat on the channel. He's one of the best doing it. And please, everybody, you got to remember, I want you to go over to his channels, hit him up. Subscribe to his stuff, like his stuff. I want you to join his channel, hit up all his socials. Also, our good friend Tracy Mason, hit up his Instagram, okay? Also, our man Joey Merlino, hit Joey's stuff, subscribe to his stuff. Importantly, subscribe to Joey's Patreon. Members Only and I have a lot of stuff cooking, and I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Oh, no problem. It's been fun. We could do this all day. And don't forget, when you guys subscribe to the channel, if you're new, just hit that notification bell so y'all don't miss out on the fire content that Billy Luna has in store for y'all.
Of course, make sure you get over to Members Only. Subscribe, join up, hit his socials, hit it all. Support this good stuff, man. You got to support us because we're the good content creators. We work our butts off. You don't even know. We know because we're friends and we talk about it. You don't understand the hours and the sacrifice that goes into this stuff. So you have a great day, my brother.
You too, man. Take care. Keep putting out that fire content.
And also, very importantly, let us know what you think in the comments.
Billy Luna.
Please subscribe to the Billy Luna channel and like the video. Thank you.